Well, I just wanted to talk a little bit about tipsters. Right? You know, we're all tipsters in a way. It's just traders who give tips to other traders so them other traders can act on them. Now, throughout social media, on Twitter, on the Football Index forum, you know, places like Index Game, which is a great community, and even YouTube pages like this, you know, we like to give tips, we like to help other traders, and we like to get opinions on players we've bought. So, as you can imagine, a lot of people are putting openly out there the people they've bought and the people they've sold. And sometimes there is a bit of reaction to that. You know, so for example, if I was to go on Twitter and say I bought so and so because of this, this, and this, likely, you know, I'd get some comments asking me more questions. I might get some comments saying, "Oh, thank you, I'll look into that." But I'll probably will get some comments as well saying that I'm pumping and dumping. So what does pump and dump mean? Well, I'm going to play you this short audio that explains it better than I ever could.
When it comes to your trades, first off, what does pump and dump mean? Well, it means that some group or entity or person is pumping up the stock and then selling it off later once the stock price pumps up or gets a little bit higher because they're looking to exit their position.
Okay, so what you might get is you might get a trader who goes on social media. They might have a big following. They might not. But they're saying, I bought this player, he's going to do this, 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 and this, and they'll realise a whole load of logic. Some might make sense, some might, it all might make sense. But what they're actually trying to do is use the logic they've given. So other traders will then go and buy that player. And then once the other traders have bought that player and the price has risen to their target, they'll exit their position. So really the logic they was given for buying the player wasn't real. All they wanted to do was pump the price up and then dump it and take their profit. So what this then does is the people who bought the player because of the tip are then in a position where this trader, he could have had, you know, a big holding of stocks. So what he's done is sold off, which means the price will drop. And then that could cause a domino effect. So this trader thinks, oh no, the price is dropping, I'm going to get out. So he gets out, the price drops more, and so on and so on. And then what you end up with is a load of traders in the red. Now, what you don't want to do is, you know, end up just discarding any idea or any player that someone mentions on Football Index because you think that they might be pumping. Because what that means is you just could be missing a lot of opportunities. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the 4 things that I do if I see a player being tipped. The 4 things that I do before I go and buy the player. But the first thing I'll do is what I was saying before. I'll never look at a tip and just discard it as a bad idea. You know, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if the person has got a reputation for being a pump and dump merchant. Okay, I'll always be open-minded to what they're saying. And if I'm interested in buying the player anyway, or I'm interested in buying someone who's in that position that they're saying they're in, then I'll always be open-minded to it. It doesn't matter who's giving the tip. It doesn't matter if it's someone who's been on Football Index for a day. It doesn't mean if it's one of the most experienced traders out there. It doesn't matter if it's someone who's serially being accused of pumping and dumping. Okay, always be open-minded, because once you look down the line, if it's bullshit, then you'll find out. Once you've been open-minded, then you can then do the thing that everyone must do before they buy into a tip, and that is do your own research. Okay, it doesn't matter what logic is given, it doesn't matter how much you respect the person saying it, always do your own research. Now, I understand on Football Index the market moves fast, and sometimes a tip could be there and you need to enter early to take full advantage. I get that, and I'll come into that a bit more. But even if it's just going on Twitter, putting something in the search bar and just checking out what they're saying is true, if that is the extent of the research you can do before you need to enter, then that's fine. But really try and do your own research. It's a must, because it's your money on the line. It's not their money, it's your money. You know, so you need to make sure if the logic they're given is true, or at least makes sense, you know. And also you've got to make sure it fits your strategy. If the person giving the tip is giving a tip for a short-term trade, and you're someone who can't give your full attention to the market, you're someone who likes to buy and hold for a little while, then it doesn't matter how good the tip is. If you can't commit to it like the person who's giving it can, then move on. So it's all about whether what they're saying makes sense, but also if it fits your strategy. Okay, so always do your own research. That is the most important bit of advice when looking at tips. Tip number 3, check the price. Okay, and I say check the price from experience. Now, I've given a tip before, and for me, it was a good tip. Okay, it was a good tip. I made profit of it. But the person who I give the tip to ended up making a small loss. And that's because the time he took to actually enter into the tip, the value had totally gone in the price. So I want to show you here, this is the increase list today. So I've just picked Phil Foden randomly. But as you can see now, this is his 1 month graph. If we go to 24-hour. So if someone gives a tip, for example, early morning, that on Phil Foden when he was £3.32, yeah, someone gives a tip, and as you can see now, it's £3.51, so it would have been a good tip. But if someone's not getting on that tip till say midday today, and his price was say £3.46, you know, it's okay. But it's not, once you take away commission and everything like that, you're not going to make a lot of money. You might make a small win or break even, so to speak. But if you would have took the tip when the tip was given, then you would have made a lot of money. And that tip will still be out there for everyone to see. And someone now might go on and get on it at 3.51. Okay, so that's why sometimes when you take tips, it genuinely was a good tip. By the time you've got on it, it's turned into a bad tip. It's all about the price. When did the tipster give the tip, and what was the price? So if you ever do give tips, it's good to say what the price is, you know, because it, you know, on here it's quite hard to timestamp things. But yeah, so the 3rd tip, always look at the price. You know, if you catch the tip straight away, obviously you're going to be in real time, but you never know. You could be catching a tip a couple of hours after they've given it, and all the value in the price is gone, making a good tip a bad tip. Okay, the 4th and final tip. The volume of shares that you buy should fit your bank and your risk aversion. Okay, I'll say it again. The volume of shares you buy should fit your bank and your risk aversion. Okay, now I've seen it loads and loads of times. You get a tip to say, I've just bought 200 of so and so at so much price. And what trader who's taking the tips will then go and do, they'll go and stretch themselves to try and get 200 of this player. You don't have to do that, because it's all the same return on investment. You know, if you buy 50 and the tip's good, then it's the same, you know. So always buy the volume of shares that you're comfortable with. Okay, if for example the tipster might have only bought 50, but you've got the bank to go and buy 200, then go and do that. You know, if you feel confident enough about it after you've already done your research, you know, the price is good, then go and do that. But that's important. You don't have to follow a tip to a T. You know, all you have to do is maybe buy the same player. But even then, you might go to buy that player and say, actually, his teammate's a bit better value from the logic that has been given. You know, that's why I'd say, again, go back to number 1, have an open mind, because you don't know where it could lead. You know, the open mind looking at that player could lead to another player. All right. So, again, when you're buying a player off the back of someone else's advice, someone else's tip, you've done your research, the price is good, but just do it to your bank. Do it to fit your bank. Do it to your risk aversion. If you're not, you know, comfortable with, you know, buying 500 shares of player X, then don't buy 500 shares of player X. It would still work if you bought 10. You still get the same return on investment. Okay, so I hope them 4 tips have helped you out there. And like I say, I think tipsters and other traders, they get a tough time on social media, especially Twitter. But so there are a lot of genuine people out there trying to help. So do listen to them. Be open-minded and do your own research. Okay, only buy the volume of shares to fit your bank. You know, and of course, make sure you check the price and the value is still there. So a good tip hasn't turned into a bad tip. If you haven't already, head over to Facebook, Football Index Trading Journal, and get yourself a free copy of our new ebook, 7 Days on Football Index with £100. It's good for a few laughs for existing traders, and it might actually help some newbies as well if they've only got a small budget. Okay, so get yourself over there and grab yourself a free copy.